Hey guys, welcome back to the Real Estate Monopoly. My name is Kerwin.
And I'm Kenneth.
This is Jeffrey.
We are the Donis brothers, and today we are talking about a question that we've gotten more times than I can count, and I think it's important for any real estate investor. It's about how to balance your personal life and real estate investing and entrepreneurship. We've gotten asked that multiple times, especially because we tell people we spend a lot of time working, and then we call it building, but we'll get into that.
We call it building.
I call it building. You call it building too.
We call it building.
We're trying to get it to catch on, but pretty much, yeah. The question is, how do you balance it? If even balance is something
what?
you can obtain.
You didn't mention it.
I did. I said personal life and your business. So let's get into that. But first, I do want to just finally answer the question: what is our personal lives? What does that look like? A little bit, just to provide context for the audience.
We each have our own personal life, right?
Yeah.
So I can go through what I do every day, but I have things that I like to do, and a lot of that tends to be work on my business or myself. So there's a lot of things, and I can break it down if you'd like.
No, we don't have to. I mean, you can answer the question how you want.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, throughout the week, Monday through Friday, it's typically similar things. My morning routine, and then that's a lot on myself, which includes working out, yoga, meditation. I like to also just throughout most of the day, I'm really just working on my business. Doing calls, do other things that come up. I won't even go into it, but in regards to some activities that I enjoy doing,
Like hobbies.
Yeah, that are not actually business, are playing tennis. I like watching sports or playing sports. That's the main thing.
Yeah,
And I love to read, but all those things I would include in my personal development. So
but that's not actually like real estate investing. Exactly.
Well,
so it's personal life.
Right. So I love reading. I love learning.
Okay.
I would just say just doing every day what I choose to do with my time, which most of the time is usually just working on our business.
Yeah, but you're not always working.
No. Oh yeah. Well, we do the same thing most of the time, guys. If you haven't already noticed, most of the time we're always together. So if he's usually playing tennis, then I'm playing tennis too usually, or I'm napping.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like playing tennis. I do like just doing other things, but besides working, I mean, there's not much else we really.
If that isn't the vaguest answer I've ever heard.
Yeah. Also, he clarified he likes to lose at tennis.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get to that. So now we can go on a tangent on tennis, but in general, for me, I like to write. I'm writing a book right now, and it's fiction. It's not related to real estate at all. And I would say growing as a writer is really important to me, and that's something that I do in my personal life. Now, I think a lot of times when people talk about personal life, they mean relationships, if you have a significant other. Don't hold on. And so I do think we'll get into that, I think, in general, but I do want to know, do you think there's such a thing as achieving work-life balance, and is that an illusion? Is that even possible? Is it ever? Or if there is no such thing as work-life balance for being a successful real estate investor in our lives, maybe, because we can't speak for everyone, how can that look for someone who maybe wants that?
And then just to touch on that, this is a really, really big controversial, because there's some really successful people that say you need work-life balance, and there's some people that say that it's not necessarily such thing. So I mean, I would definitely.
I just think people. It depends on what you say, but I think that there is a such thing as balance, but I don't think it's the way that most people think of it. So I think for me, I see it as there's a time for everything, and there's even phases in my life and seasons in my life. So I'm not in a relationship, and I don't think I'm in the point in my life where I want to be in one or have the desire to do that in the time or whatever. So in regards to personal relationships, honestly, me and Kerwin and Kenneth, we always like to think and talk about this. We barely have enough time to do what we want with our own time. I want to read more. I want to learn more. I want to take these different courses and learn these different skills, but I barely have enough time to do that too.
Yeah.
In regards to being selective with who I allow into my personal life.
Yeah.
That's why we're so selective with that.
Yeah, and I mean, I just don't want to get off on a tangent.
Right.
In terms of work-life balance, I think there's two schools of thought. Some people say it is something you can attain, and I've also heard the other people say that it's at any stage in your life you prioritize a different thing. Yes. So it's really just a game of what you prioritize at that given time.
Yeah, and I think. Go ahead. I thought you were almost done. Well, what I was gonna say is Grant Cardone. I think he explains it the very best, or at least from what I've heard. He says whenever you're, for example, like when you're with your family, you're all in with your family. You're not worried about business. You're not worried about anything else. You're just with your family. And then when you're working, you're just working. You're not worried, no offense to your family, but you're not worried about your family. Yeah. You're not worried about anything else. When you're golfing, you're just worried about golfing. So it's like, it's not necessarily work-life balance, because I don't think that like you could say that that's really necessarily balanced, but it's like you're just focused on what you're doing at that moment in that given time. I think, and I think that that's the best way to define it, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, being in the moment. I like that.
Yeah.
And that's something, so Jeff and I don't know, kind of, you didn't read it, but The Alchemist, it's a book that talks kind of about chasing your personal legend. And I would say for me, the personal legend is pretty much what one person has to do to reach their full potential, and the thing that the purpose of why they're on the earth, and you know, they're like God-given purpose, pretty much.
Yeah.
He's listening to it right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you are. It's good.
Yeah.
You like it? The Alchemist. I don't remember the author's name, but it's one of the best books I've ever read.
And name.
I've heard a lot. It's one of the top books in general.
I've heard it mentioned several times by
so relatable, and there's so many different lessons that you can take from it. But
yes.
where we going?
Well, my point of that is, how does that connect to work-life balance? The idea of personal legend. And I was going to say, I think the purpose of having a work-life balance is, even like that notion is assuming that you want them like you are. And I know that's why earlier we talked on building. I don't even call what we do in our business building or work. I call it building because it's something that I choose to do. I think work is more something like that. It's more of a task that you just have to do. Whereas we're choosing to do our business and build our legacy, and that's my personal legend in a way, you know? And so that's kind of, it is personal for me. That is part of my personal life. My point is, I don't think that work-life balance is really something that is truly attainable, depending on who you are, and at least the level of success and our goals in life. Like, that would be besides the point, because we really like what we do, and it's like an intentional choice. Do you agree?
Yeah, I just think like, and we always like to say like, what else would we be doing with our time? And eventually there will be a time where perhaps it's not the main focus, but that's not the right now. Like I said, there's seasons for everything.
No, I like that. That's a good point. Like, what else would we be doing with our time?
Yeah.
Because, and this is not even like a bad thing. I think a lot of people would be spending their time, whether that's watching Netflix or going out and partying or doing things that they really shouldn't be doing. Nothing productive, I would say, like with their free time. Because if you think about it, especially in your 20s, you have a lot of free time.
Yeah, and also no responsibilities, so it's really easy to go and give in to temptation and things like that. Exactly,
and you touched on it earlier, but I think a lot of times this is just maybe, I don't know, maybe this isn't relevant to you guys in the audience, but if it is, we'll see. So regarding choosing to be single right now and choosing to not be in a relationship, that is an interesting topic to me, because a lot of people tend to get into relationships young, and you know, that's fine. No judgment there at all. So I think it's a really peculiar decision to decide to be single.
I mean, Cohen always talk about this in Canada too. I think for me, the reason I'm not in a relationship at this point in my life is because I'm changing so fast and so much intentionally, because I like to, I'm trying to change, trying to grow. So how can I find someone right now that matches that level of growth? And I not only am I fearful, but I can almost like guarantee that they're not going to be the exact same person that they are right now, because I won't be, and I would hope they're not. But I've done it in the past, and it's just hard to expect someone else to be on that same commitment to their own personal development that I'm at. I'm willing to literally sacrifice everything and like take that with a grain of salt, but I'm willing to do a lot of things to kind of just become the best level and version of myself. And I don't think a lot of people are at that my age willing to do that. First. Second, I think I already touched on it. I don't even think I have enough time to focus on myself and do the things I want to do with my own time. How could I possibly have enough time for someone else? I'm sure you can make time. I know you can, but that would be going against what I just said, which is focusing on myself and becoming the best version of myself. Yeah. And if I want to do that, I need to use all my time and put it on myself. And I think you have to be selfish during my phase of life. I need to be selfish.
Yeah. And something Jay Shetty said once was like, a lot of times when people are in a relationship, especially at a young age, when they're still developing and kind of coming into their own identity and purpose and finding what they want to do in life, they spend so much energy on another person. And what he said was, imagine if people put all that energy towards themselves, how much growth and development that people would see. And then on top of that, how much pain and like just drama and all that negativity would be avoided if they just kind of stuck to themselves and really focused on themselves.
Yeah. One thing I like to add really quick too is, I want to attract someone, right? If I know I need to level up to attract the level of person I want to be in a relationship with, I first and foremost, you have to understand that you can't attract that person right now because you haven't leveled up yet. And that will take time and effort and a lot of commitment to becoming that best version of yourself. Therefore, you'll be able to eventually attract that person. Mm-hmm. And that's another reason why I think it's worth waiting and delayed gratification so that you can attract that just higher level version of a person that you want to be in a relationship with. And I don't think a lot of people are willing to do it. Yeah. And perhaps, what do you think? Is that the reason? Yeah. Random question, but is that the reason why a lot of people get divorced?
We're not. No. This is not.
We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But what I will say is, I mean, like you were saying, you know, right now, especially in our lives, I mean, we're like at the beginning of, you know, stages of building our business and building the empire that we want to build. And I find it almost sometimes very chaotic. And it's like, it would be insane in a way to bring another person into this world right now, because it's like, there's not much stability. And I think you would
in your personal life, you mean?
Well, not necessarily personal. Well, yeah, I guess personal life, because business is personal. And it's not to say that, you know, like everything is just like crazy all the time. But what I'm just saying is like, like, I think once you're at a place where things are more stable, you can kind of not necessarily have a certain amount of money, but just have everything kind of figured out in a way, like somewhat, you know, I don't think you'll ever have everything figured out, but just to a certain point, I think that's when it'd be more comfortable to bring someone.
I was going to say, real estate actually is ironically a very stable asset class. So I don't think you're talking, I don't think
it's a hedge against the
I don't think that's what he means when he says.
I'm not saying real estate. I'm saying also, like business, right? Like there's always things that pop up within our business, and it's like, we have to drop everything we do and handle this right now. And it's like, when could we, even if we wanted to, right? I mean, I hear it all the time. Like I speak to partners of mine and they literally tell me like, okay, tomorrow I'm sorry, I can't talk to you because I've been like on the phone with you, or I've been working on this deal forever and my wife is getting mad. And I'm like, God, I am like so thankful that I don't necessarily have that problem, because that's another not burden, but almost like a burden. Like you would feel kind of bad that you're not spending enough time.
And I was in a relationship not that long ago. Obviously, they know that. And comparing that scenario, the one thing I can say is you don't have enough time to do everything. You have to make sacrifices. Yes. And if you're going to be a good partner, obviously you have to spend time with them, or that's what I would want in a good relationship, is spend time with them, which means you're not spending time on yourself, especially
or your business.
And it's so important. It's so hard from us at this perspective in this life, and this point in our life, to find someone that's worth spending that much time with. And if you're not spending time with someone that's going to improve your life, make you a better person, then I don't think it's worth it. And therefore you should work on yourself. And that's what I'm doing. And I know that's a hard point, and I think it depends on who that person is. Very subjective, where you are in your life. But for my life.
Yeah, but I was going to say, what if someone says, maybe you can grow together, or you can grow with each other and build together?
I think that there's two sides to that coin, right? I think it's a valid point. I think people, like, I really think that if there's someone that doesn't necessarily hinder your growth, because I truly believe, like, you can't necessarily force someone to grow. And I think that, like, when you try to force someone else to grow, it kind of doesn't balance. But as long as they're not hindering your growth, I think you can potentially grow into like something beautiful. If that makes sense.
I mean, I think that's like it's all subjective. This is all subjective, and it depends on your scenario. But to the kind of person that we are, the kind of man I want to become, the person I am, I know that I know what I can do alone. I don't necessarily need someone else to help me do that. Therefore, at this point, I can get closer to where I want to go if I'm focused on just myself, versus having to have, like, I wouldn't need someone else to help me do that right now, because I barely have enough time to do the things that I want to do.
And when you say someone else, you mean like just like a significant other? Like, you, of course, we need a mentor, you need partners. Yes. You guys want to clarify?
I'm talking about being in like a romantic relationship.
Yeah. And this is not like a romance podcast or anything. We're just...
Or it is.
We're trying to kind of...
Late at night with the Donis brothers.
But in general, I think that's important, because that is a big part of personal life. Now, let's say someone is at a point where they already have like a wife, and you know that's fine, just perfectly fine. They have a wife, they have kids, they have a job, and they also want to get in real estate. What if? How do we manage our time, and what kind of lessons can they maybe take away from it?
There's a book that I read called No More Nice Guy. So it can be for a female or a male. It's all about being selfish, and it's okay to be selfish in certain situations, especially when it's better for you, and you know what's best for you, and you know what you need to have, and also what you need to do to meet your needs. And that comes with the number one biggest currency and resource, which is time. So where you spend your time, that is something that you have control over. At the end of the day, regardless of what you think, you do have control. So I think your question, can you just repeat again to make sure I'm answering?
What are some time management tips?
Yeah. So in regards to that, just choosing what, like for me personally, I just understand what I need to get done to get closer to my goals. And the main one, to kind of put it into like, here's to fulfill my purpose and then become the best version of myself. But fulfilling my purpose kind of goes hand in hand with that, right? So you kind of just literally get all the things every single day done based on that. And if it doesn't really make sense and you can't really fit it into your calendar based on that requirement, if it's not helping you get there, then that's kind of what you'll, I guess, prioritize.
Yeah, and I was good.
I will say, like you said, I mean, if you're already married or have kids, I think it's a little bit more difficult. But I mean, we don't necessarily have a romantic partner, but we have our mom, and we definitely try to spend time with her. So I would say, like, I think communicating with them and just telling them, like, look, this is what we're going to do. And like, when I'm working, I am working, and I'm not I don't want to be distracted. I'm sorry, but I can't spend time with you. And not to say that you're going to suffer, but hopefully that they understand that. But also maybe just setting aside a day or a dinner or just a few hours. And I think that would be sufficient enough to, just be during that growing stage,
Quality over quantity of time.
Exactly.
And actually being present during that time. Because a lot of times if you're just thinking about work and you're with them, you're not really with them. And I've heard a lot of people say that, where they'll spend time with their kids. And I don't have kids, so I can't speak. But they said that they've spent time with their kids and they're not really there.
Thinking
they
about
find
work.
themselves, just thinking about work. But in general, I think for us, a good way to be really structured with your time and make sure you're spending time on things that matter is to have habits. And that way you're almost creating a blueprint for every day, because you're building it in. You're building in, you're building in and making, like, forcing time for what matters to you. So for example, my health is important. So I go to the gym every single morning. I build that into as a habit, and it's the first thing I do when I wake up after I brush my teeth, and do my yoga, and also yoga, meditation, reading, writing. I build in time for that throughout my day. Working from certain hours, lunch, cooking, everything is built in. It's almost like a habit. Like my internal clock knows when it's time to do something. Mm-hmm. How has habits helped you make time for things that matter?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, it helps that we do it together, a lot of the habits, but
accountability partner.
Yeah, it's just like
maximize the day.
That becomes the subconscious thing that you do every single day, and it becomes, and that's the powerful thing about habits, is that you do it so often that it becomes the easy thing to do.
Yes.
And it's like you don't have to think about it. You just do it. Like as soon as the alarm clock goes off, we do not think what we're going to do. We just go and do our yoga. First we brush our teeth, do yoga, meditate, go to the gym, come back, take a shower every day. And the cool thing is, I think that's the power of it being a daily habit, because when you do take that one day off, regardless of what it is, I mean, you can say you need a rest day, but like whatever. I'm not talking about the gym, I'm talking about everything. You do it so often, every day, it literally becomes a part of you. And why would you pick bad habits? Like if you're intentionally going in and like just trying to create habits, I would hope that you're doing that with the intention of them being good habits.
Yeah.
So you do things to improve your life.
You can do bad habits.
Right. But like I'm saying in the case of this,
I got you.
This situation, you choose good habits. Yeah. You literally implement them every single day, and you'll see it's like a formula.
Yeah. I have a cool question that I want to, and let me know if it's not clear enough, but I want to leave it a little vague for you. If time is a scarce resource, which is what you said earlier, if time is a scarce resource, then how do you know we're not wasting our time right now? In the sense that,
I think if you get I do. I think it comes down to one. I would look at, okay, and in the span of our short lives, when have you been the most fulfilled, happiest, or not even happy, because that's something. But let's just say in theory, right? When have you been the most fulfilled, the happiest, the most motivated, driven,
in shape,
like just the best point of your life where you're like, man, like grateful. Your life is going the best. When has that happened?
When I'm pursuing.
No, but like what point, what day? Like
right now.
Like right now?
Is this phase in your life?
Right now, this phase.
Okay. Would you say this is the most like best habits that you've ever had in your life?
Yeah. I would say for me, it's just, and we were talking about this earlier, we went on a walk, and it's the pursuit of our goals. I think we don't ever really, and I think no one ever really wants to reach the end, because the horizon's always going to move.
It's depressing if you reach it.
And you don't ever want to reach, you want to dream big enough that you're always chasing. And so like, yes, it's important to reach financial freedom and invest in real estate for being intentional, but for us, we found that we always want to be pursuing, we always want to be in the sport that is business and real estate investing. Yeah. So we're always going to be doing it, even if once we reach financial freedom and once we retire our mom and once we reach our financial goals and surpass them and help as many people along the way.
And to go to your question, I think like some people might hear that question and think, okay, like, why are you not enjoying life right now? Like, why are you not having fun right now? And then
because like, who knows if you were to, God forbid, something bad would happen to you tomorrow.
Tomorrow's never promised, right? Exactly. So it's like, that's what they would say.
That's a great question.
That was the question.
But what I would say is, honestly, like, if you really think about it, like, what we've done has allowed us the opportunity to travel more, just be a little bit more financial stable. I've had a lot more fun as of recently, like, just in business. Like, business is such, like you said, it's a sport. And when you little accomplishments just makes it that much more fun and fulfilling. Yeah. And I feel fulfilled. Like, if I were to go right now, I would honestly be obviously never okay, because I'd never be satisfied with where I'm at. But I would feel like I've already made an impact.
You mean die?
What?
Yeah, he means die.
Yeah, like if I were to die right now. Yeah.
You ask me a question, I'll ask you the same exact, not the same exact question, but I'll ask you a question. What else would you be doing with your time right now?
Nothing that I would rather trade in for.
That's what I'm saying. Therefore,
fun, right?
that
like
is the
partying.
best. That's the answer to your question. If there's nothing else you'd rather be doing.
Yeah. And it's like, for me, because you're never going to really reach your full potential. And I want you to touch on that, what you read in the Who Not How, I think was the book that you read. The quote. The quote.
Let me pull it up. But I'll just...
you pull it up in the meantime. I'll say, for me, it's like, we're never going to really reach our full potential, but it's the pursuit of reaching that in terms of like financial full potential, spiritual, mindset, fitness, everything. It's the pursuit of that I think is the optimal performance of like anyone, but us in particular. I'm the happiest when I know I'm doing everything I need to do to pursue it on that path. Exactly. It's the path. It's the climb. Like Miley Cyrus says, it's the climb. It's not the
yeah. So the quote reads, so this is the definition of hell. The last day you have on earth, the person you became will meet the person you could have become. This is from Who Not How, the book. What does that mean to you?
Well, to me, my initial...
I can repeat it if you want.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can repeat it, yeah.
The last day, so the definition of hell, the last day you have on earth, the person you became will meet the person you could have become.
Yeah. For me, it was like the embodiment of regret. Like, how much are you going to regret if that were to happen? And literally, I think that would be the ultimate level of regret, because you realize what you could have accomplished if you hadn't let fear and complacency and the drifting, which is what we talked about in another video about, like that held you back.
And that's why I posted this on our story today. Right after that, it just, the first thought that came to my mind was, I was reading 10X by Cardone, and he talked about, why not swing for the fences? Every single day I wake up, that gets me so pumped. That line right there,
like
why
knock
not
it out of the park?
Yeah, why not? Like, no, like it's not only about knocking it out of the park. That's the end result. The thing is, why not go for the fences?
Yeah,
why not shoot for like just I'm gonna rip it, and if I miss, I miss.
Leave nothing on the table.
It's more risky when you try to like go hard. If you're trying to play it safe, you just bunt it, and it's not gonna go as far. That's what I'm saying. But why not just go for the fences? Swing for it. Yeah. Try to go for a home run.
At least you're like you're leaving nothing on the table.
Every single day you wake up is try to like smash that.
And having that mindset is kind of what our good friend, I'm sure she wouldn't mind us shouting her out, Keely Hubbard, always talks about the man in the arena. And Theodore Roosevelt, I believe, is the original one that gave that story where it's better to be the man in the arena getting bloodied and marred, and like you're getting beat up, and even if you don't win the fight, it'd be better to be in the arena than be one of the people in the stands just laughing and mocking.
Funny.
And being
see that on the story? Is that why you said that? Because right after I posted that, it's funny. Like literally, as soon as I thought, okay, I swing for the fences, and I think of the arena. So then I was like,
get in the arena.
Yeah. So like Kerwin always says, I heard it on a podcast. Pressure is a privilege, and I was like thinking, I'd rather be in the arena, having under the lights, having everyone else kind of cheering you on or whatever. It's good or bad. You're the one that has the ball in your hand. You're the one that's on the field, rather than being in the audience watching that. Because this person in the audience has no pressure, which is a good thing maybe to them. Yeah. But to you have all the pressure, and pressure is a privilege, because at the end of the day, that's you have the chance. You're at bat. You have the ability.
You have the potential.
Yeah. And pressure makes diamonds.
And this isn't to say there's only one person in the arena. This is for everyone. Right. Everyone has their own arena. And so you can either be in your own version, you can be the person in the stands, or in the actual arena, taking the risks, but also potentially receiving the rewards. Now, we are wrapping up soon, but in general, I think we already talked about living in the moment. And how do you guys, so when it comes to work-life balance, how would you recommend anyone, or how are you guys, and do you recommend people kind of taking after that model that you guys are showing, that we're showing, by whether or not we're living in the moment, if we aren't or aren't?
You have to give me a question.
You don't understand the question? Are we living in the moment, or how do you balance living in the moment versus planning for the future? And should other people follow our path? Or
I would say, I think living in the present is the most difficult thing for a lot of people, because, some people have depression and that's because they think about the past a lot. And some people have anxiety because they think about the future a lot. But when you're truly living in the present, I think that's very difficult. And I struggle with this, but I just try to just silence everything else and just stay, just focus on what I'm doing at that very moment. Mm-hmm. Like right now we're here, right? If I'm eating and speaking with other people, I try to not be on my phone and like I said, I'm not perfect. So sometimes I do that, but I think that's definitely a struggle. Yeah, I wouldn't say we're perfect at all.
No, I think your question was also along the lines of should they perhaps follow the principle of being or willing to not give in to immediate gratification and open to delayed gratification. Am I right?
So yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I think every single person is obviously their life, and one thing is if you're faithful, and as long as we are all faithful. Mm-hmm. So personally we are, and as long as you're in alignment with whatever your faith is, in my opinion, I'm at peace when I'm like that. So maybe it might help you, regardless of what you're doing. And I think when I'm doing this, I've never been at this point in my faith. Therefore, it's in alignment. Yeah, and that's where I would view it as. So that's how I live my life.
And so 2 things before we end the video in the episode. I do want to touch on 2 downsides to what we've encountered, because it's not all, good and positive. One thing I would say is we struggle to relax sometimes, and maybe not separate. If there even should be a separation, we struggle to relax and just let loose and vacation, or not think about work.
It kind of becomes you.
Yeah, exactly. In a way, it starts to blend.
But it's not a bad thing.
I don't know.
And
but
people do say it's a bad thing. They said, you
work too much, or
you work too much, or exactly, all of the things, right?
Or obsessed.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing, but
I don't think it's a bad thing.
Was that your question?
That was my question. My question was, do you ever struggle to turn off work and just relax?
I think I do.
I do, yeah.
But I also think and this is a cool thing about it, is for me it's not work anymore. It's really just becoming the best version, right? So I'm always reading. So if I'm not working, I would love to read a book, and it's obviously going to help my business. But right, because I'm going to become a better version of myself, and I'll bring that back to the business. Yeah. But
weirdo.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's like a journey, and I don't know the exact phrase that you used, but it's spiritual actualization, self-actualization, and I think that's a journey, a lifelong journey. But the more that you work on yourself, I truly think the more that all aspects of your life will improve. Yeah. And that in itself is what we do every day. If you think about it, that's what I do. Yeah. Just because I work on my business a lot doesn't necessarily mean I'm not doing that.
Yeah. And last thing, burnout. Do you believe in burnout? And have you ever encountered it? And if so, how would you say preventing it? How should people prevent it? Because let's say people do want to pursue their goals with complete ambition and complete drive. How should they approach that without getting burnt out?
I think, here you go.
Grant Cardone talks about this all the time. And like I said, I think in 10X, I don't know if he touches on this exact point, but he always says that burnout is only to the people that either got tired of winning so much in that specific thing that they're just bored, or people that just never win. Because if you think about it, maybe chemically we get a lot of dopamine from winning.
What's the other person?
Well, either they win too much that it gets boring,
or they don't win it enough. So what's the thing you should be doing?
What? Win more? Is that your?
Because if you win all the time, then what you
Well, I think there's different things to win.
Either way.
I don't know if there's necessarily an answer to that, but I'm saying basically I think a lot of people, they kind of see burnout as okay. Well, basically what Grant Cardone was saying, to kind of reiterate this whole thing, won't say winning but that is what he said, and that's a good point. But a lot of people, when you don't experience a win, it kind of gets tiring when you're doing the same thing over, when you're cold calling, when you're going on appointments, when you're seeing things, but you're not seeing results, right? It can get a little tiring and a little disappointing, and then things can just easily start to slip in the wrong way. And you're okay, this is not working. I don't want to do it anymore. But then when you get that gratification, you start winning, you make money, or you meet a new person, and it just, you feel good. It makes you feel good. And whenever you're feeling good, you don't, I personally don't think I can get burnt out when I'm winning. Yeah.
I would say a practical thing somebody can do is create your own wins.
Small wins.
Yeah, small wins, or reward yourself.
Yeah.
For example, Jeffrey and I, we are very diligent with what we eat during the week. So we eat ice cream on the weekends and on Sunday nights. And that is a win. And that's something that gets me going. Or if you close a deal, get yourself an ice cream or go out and have fun for one night. For example, like just create your own wins.
I'm trying to think. I read something in the book today and it talked about this. I just can't put my thumb on it, but it was along the lines of, and you reminded me of it when you said it's not about getting burnt out. It's because if you're doing something, I don't know, I'll just say what I think then, 'cause I can't think of it. But for me, I'm always growing. And as long as I'm growing and I see results and progress, and I'm like you said, small wins, but it doesn't have to be a win is kind of a strong word to me. It's like you have to cross this line.
It's like growth, progress, like you said.
Yeah, like as long as you're progressing in an aspect. And that's
in
why
any aspect.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing about what we do with our diet, for example, is we're always changing it, the goal, and it can be what's the point if you're going both ways, right? Trying to gain weight, trying to lose weight. But at the end of the day, as long as I'm getting closer to whatever it is I'm trying to do every single day, and I look better or things like that, then it's worth it to me. I get that dopamine or whatever it is, but I just truly feel better about myself.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is when you also keep your own promises, small things like that, whether that's all these random things put together that make you have this good feeling of whatever it is.
Prevent you from being burnt out.
Yeah, but overall, if you're not doing something that you're not getting closer to your goal, whatever your goal is, I think that's what leads to burnout. If you're just kind of you don't care about the goal anymore, maybe you're going after the wrong things.
I would say for me, you can delay your gratification, but I think there's such a thing as too delayed, because if you never ever gratify yourself, then you just lose sight of the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I agree.
The tunnel gets boring.
Yeah.
And tiring, and you just want to give up. So you have to have little checkpoints.
Little wins. Wins is strong.
Yeah, celebrate every win too. Even small ones.
Small ones. Okay, you spoke with 100
milestones.
People.
If you get a milestone, you get your first LOI under contract or
LOI submitted. And it doesn't even have to be that. Let's say you, for example, every 100 calls you make or 10 calls you make, it's not necessarily has to be this grand, you don't have to.
And it doesn't have to be the output. It could be the input too. When you input a certain amount,
it should be
underwrite 100 deals, reward yourself. Even if you haven't found one that works,
or read a whole book. And that's.
You can have a coffee or I don't know.
Yeah. Kerwin likes ice cream, so you probably wouldn't want to do that too often.
Yeah. I like ice cream. Yeah, you like ice cream too. Don't do that. Awesome. Well, you guys. Today was awesome. I hope you guys got value and you could follow our crazy minds. And now you guys probably have an idea of how we talk to each other. I think that was
except this was a little more PG.
A little bit more.
Kind of off the radars or off the.
Yeah, Kenny, you have to get on his OnlyFans if you want. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, he doesn't have an OnlyFans.
That's a joke. Thank you guys so much.
Have to cut that out though
for your time.
No, you would have to cut that out because that could potentially you don't want none of that in the internet. But anyways, thank you guys so much for your time.
They can't find anything
unless they can.
No, I swear to God. What?
So exactly.
Thank you guys for your time today. Thank you guys so much. We hope you guys got value out of it and could follow our crazy tangents. If you got any value, let us know down in the comment section. This wasn't really real estate focused episode, but I think there's a good balance, and
it always comes back down to what we talked about today, which I think time.
Work balance. So. It's just something that you have to keep working at. I don't think there's ever such a thing as balance. I think it's just about figuring it out and being in the moment and then prioritizing in real time, because your priorities will change in real time.
Yeah. Awesome. Let us know if there's any topics that you guys want us to discuss, or any questions or anything that you guys are struggling with. Let us know down in the comments and we'll decide to make a video on it. So
happy to help in any way, guys. You can find us at Donis Brothers on every platform. Check out the podcast, The Real Estate Monopoly, which is where you're listening to it right now. So leave a like and Kerwin, whatever else they can leave.
Yep. And guys, let's get out there and take action. Have a great rest of your day.
Have a good one,
guys.